Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday afternoon before Labor Day weekend. Sorry for being 30 minutes late. Was recording the Jim Iorio Futures Edge podcast and it ran over. So watch for that to drop on Monday. For anybody in the USA, a Labor Day listening enjoyment. And remember, we are on holiday schedule. Stock market is closed in the US on Monday. Futures have shortened hours. We'll get to that in a second. That's why it's important for me to do this still on a Friday afternoon. And I will be back on Sunday afternoon. Since futures are still open, have to do the Sunday afternoon prep. Don't expect you to join me. I will be here if you would like to join me for that. We'll keep it a little shorter. Maybe I'll do if there's any stock questions, might do another one on Monday afternoon to prep myself just for stocks based off of how futures close on Monday. Speaking of futures closing on Monday, then I'll get to say hello to everybody. They still open Sunday night at the regular time, 5 p.m. Central Time, USA. Everything opens that time. So it's regular opening hours, what you're used to. So that's you had an extended pre-open if you're trading grains or the mini grains or something else. If you're trading lumber or livestock, you're SOL. Okay, so you get the time off. Monday, 12 Central Time. And again, why are we on Central Time? Not only am I on Central Time, but the exchange is in Central Time. That's what they list on their spreadsheet. And if you want a copy of this, you can just go to the CME group, Chicago Mercantile Exchange group, and search for the holiday hours. And I like to download the compact schedule. You don't need everything under the sun unless you're trading some really weird nuanced thing. But for Monday, so we are open Sunday night. So Asian session, European session, fully engaged. U.S. session until 12, until noon Central Time for the equity futures. So that would be the S&P, the NASDAQ. Interest rate futures are also at noon. Cryptos go till 4 and then reopen at 5. Foreign exchange goes till 4. Crude, like energy and metals, go till 1:30 Central Time p.m. All right. So just do keep that in mind. So there is still trading Sunday night and Monday. There's no holidays for us future traders unless we get to things like Christmas. Okay. Let me say good afternoon. Good afternoon, Patrick. Thank you for waiting around for me again. Sorry I was late. Anissa, good evening. Hope you've had a wonderful week and have a wonderful weekend. Hey, Coco, the market is rigged. What do you mean the market's rigged? What do you mean? Now, if you're talking some gold and silver, the way that trade, and that's actually been proven that there's been spoofing and marking rigging in that, I will agree to a minor extent in that. I didn't see anything in the financial futures that were rigged today. Hello, Lauren. Nice sell. I hope people spotted the shake and bake pattern. Is everything okay, Mike? It's not like me to be late. Well, as I mentioned on this morning's live stream, I was recording the other podcast, that goes up on YouTube, and I might be late. I can't just stop that in the middle. So that's why I am late. I do have a valid excuse. Yeah, Mr. Late Pants. Well, you know what? You're still tuning into Mr. Late Pants. The market isn't rigged like me. No one else wanted to wake up Tuesday with a gap down after splurging all weekend. It was a great day. Oh boy, Tom. Thank you for being here, Tom. But you're literally a broken record. There was a great sell today. Microsoft and Google closed below the 62.5 from the June lows versus mega cap, so we can keep a look at that. What Monday question mark, Ted? I'm here every day. Besides, I do take off Saturday generally because there's not much going on in cryptos right now. But I'll be in the chair on Monday, at least Monday morning. Just never a day off. Damn future markets. More of the same after small bounce, probably test 280. We shall see who's exactly responsible for doing the shake and bake. What do you mean who's responsible? It was just a lot of selling patterns, a lot of leaps hitting the tape on Amazon today. Thoughts? I mean, Amazon's closing down a lot of warehouses. I actually think the management team on Amazon is pretty smart, and they're gearing up for a more substantial recession, and they're going into hibernation. They're still running a pretty hefty price to earnings ratio. I think growth mode is slowing. It's even going to slow in Amazon Web Services until after we get out of a recessionary period. So I'm watching for bigger pullbacks in Amazon to establish longer term positions. Bullish on oil. We can check in on oil real quick. Again, thank you everybody for being here going into a holiday weekend. The shake and bake play, which besides doubles, if you want to know something else, is a great thing to watch for. Let me just review it. So we broke above. We retested that 39.72 area a couple times. The second one closing below, but you know when it breaks out one side and then we go down through the other side, especially when you cross the middle point, that's an advanced entry. Why is it called shake and bake? Because everybody who bought in here or bought in this dip, and there were long trades, completely these were viable long trades. We did have a little mini double top up here. This was valid double top also. Even though it doesn't have to be in the center, but that was a double top for a little, all right. And if you weren't going to short at that point, fine, at least take some off the table from long trades because you're going to get the pullback. But when you see a horizontal channel and you break out one side and then you come back, especially I like to watch, I've tested this out. Once you get the close below the midpoint, which this close below the midpoint was also the other side, this is a pretty easy reversal trade. We got some momentum bars in here. You have the pipeline getting shut down. What else do we have today? What else? Where am I? This number was actually ugly. Factory orders came in pretty decent contraction. So between that, you got the senior traders leaving, and then you had the pipeline shut down again, which don't be surprised if this is going to keep happening. They'll restart it. I said on this the other day, I think there'll be a sabotage at the pipeline going into the winter at some point that will cause outages, severe outages for an extended period of time. But between everything going on, and then, leaving junior traders in charge of the desk. I'm leaving. You guys take over, and boom. So, what do we have here now? And we'll review this more on Sunday. Just a little preview. We do have a potential double. That's the only... Remember, I said also for this to be a bullish trade. Intraday, the break. Really reconnecting with the daily rotation zone. Did we get the close above here? No. So if you're playing the break, which was completely valid for the percent B buy, I said it had to close above here. So the moment you saw the shake and bake, it was like, goodbye, gotta play, and we went to retest the lows. These retests of the lows gave us a potential double bottom. Even if it breaks slightly lower, even if it breaks down and completes the head and shoulders pattern at the 38.86, this potential double is in play. What does that mean? That means that's then a reversal pattern that takes us back. I wish I could easily take off some of these levels. I don't want to destroy the chart, but I'm going to highlight. See this where I am sitting right now, the 50 to 62.5. If we did trigger this little double bottom, it would just take us back to the key reversal area for another potential rollover play. That's the only real bullish. Besides, if we do trade up a Sunday night and a Monday, it would be into this clear path move. Remember, this is a clear path move, especially above 39.42, and I'd be targeting the breakdown and then the prior breakout areas. That's the only other minorly bullish stuff going into the long weekend. We break below 38.86, 38.50 is the next key level. Also, remember, we did not close below the 62.5 on the S&P. So the level's still holding. Let's see who else is here. Market is not rigged by whales, Coco. There's even in thinner markets, there's way too much depth for the financial futures. It's like saying the bond market's rigged. No, you can get massive buying or selling. I even think at times there's coordinated massive buying or selling. But to take that into the whole market is rigged is an absurd statement. I was alluding to the elusive day that everyone always references, the who is responsible. You know, this was a pretty standard. I've talked about shake and bake patterns before, and I hope you're learning them because this was just, hey, people are trapped. Don't be surprised when you see this, not just in financial futures. We've talked about this. It happened in the euro the other week. Breakout to the upside, and then not only fine, because you can have something come back here, test this level, and go into consolidation. This is momentum, and when it takes you out the other side, everybody who bought this, not only overnight but in the morning, is trapped long. What are they going to do when it starts breaking down, especially going into a Friday afternoon, a holiday weekend? You think I'm going to then hold this? No, I'm liquidating. Well, that gives nice moves. And then you got a nice little bounce, 15-minute rotation zone, then the final sell-off. And then if I'm going short, you think I'm holding? No, I'm just going to flatten it out. Key support held. NASDAQ, let's just take a look at the bigger picture. 62.5, dipped below it again today, closed still above it. So, did we trigger the massive probabilities to go retest the June lows? Not just yet. Yes, we have a double bottom. And right now I'm using the aggressive targets. Once we know that this bottom's, I'll shift to the conservative targets if it's higher. But that's the thing. We'll go over that again on Sunday. Dow, interesting. Look at this. Look at that 62.5. Literally. Wow. 31,367. Where did we close the Dow futures? 31,388. No official trigger there yet either. Oh, you gotta love these levels. You gotta love, because I was even talking with Jim Iorio on the Futures Ed podcast, and he was referencing the 61.8. He called it the 68 fib retracement. I said, you mean the 61.8? He said, yeah. I said, we use the 62.5. It tests out a number of percentage points higher. Look, this would have triggered the 61.8, not the 62.5. You got to learn that level. That's worth the price of this channel right there. Yes, we do have a potential double bottom on the Dow also. We already know that would be conservative. And this would just be corrective patterns. Virtually the Dow, going also, when something like this, I just want to touch on something else. When you see this, especially when you dip down that close, going into a holiday weekend with the head and shoulders pattern, you don't try to eke out a couple more points. You just unwind the thing. You came within a spitting distance of the final target. Don't be silly going into a long weekend to edge out. Don't try to chase the penny down the highway the wrong way. It's not worth it. You unwind stuff going into the close. Russell, again, retested the second target. Yes, Russell. Also, we have the same setups across the board. Completely valid. Again, don't need to harp on that. Notes. This was an aggressive %B buy triggered in the close, so I'm going to watch for a couple-day follow-through, especially with cycles at the bottom into the daily rotation zone. My key target is about this 117.06 to about 117.07. especially with this gap fill, which isn't fully filled yet. But that's right there. So then I'm watching for another rollover play. Crude, key levels holding. The only thing short term that I'm watching for a bullish trade, yes, we do have a potential double bottom. I need a 4-hour close above 89.66, 91.50, 92.42, 93.34. That's the only thing bullish I have. And we did touch a fair amount on crude on the podcast. So that's the only potential bullish. But if we break now, we have these key lows. And that this overall in the bigger pattern is a triple bottom. If we break below the lows from the 16th of August, it's 83.71 to about 84 is the next key level on that. And remember, we're still in an overall bigger bearish play. Natty gas. There is this horribly sloppy head and shoulders, messy trigger. I'm just watching this for a pullback play. Why am I watching that? We also had, Europe ramping up again because the pipeline shut down, natural gas. I'm just watching these levels for a pullback play, 838, 810, and then that would just take us back into the weekly rotation zone. The only thing that would shift me major bearish on natty gas, this is a valid double top, but I need a weekly close back below 753. Bitcoin, nothing much going there, but Bitcoin, look at this, where we're holding right at that 75%. We should still come back down lower to test. Nothing really going on with that. I shouldn't have said look at this. What else do we want to look at? I know, we asked the SPY. Yes, on the 4-hour, I already went through the futures. But on the 4-hour, this is a valid double bottom. So the spider's filling the gap, running back up, and forming this double bottom. What's interesting enough is if it pauses for just a bit and the 4-hour rotation zone gets out of the way, you're right in that daily rotation zone, so there's lower probabilities, but still well above 50%. But the first target would be that 407 area, would not ignore that. So that is completely valid. And the Qs have also a potential double bottom. And that would need the close above 303.75 on a 4-hour basis. It can be traded with a 1-hour close. I mean, you could technically trade it with a 5-minute close, but I would need it to roll into a longer term close before I really got aggressive with that. Well, who puts the seasoning on the chicken for the shake and bake? That's who's responsible for doing the shake and bake. So there's your answer, bullish on oil, unless that little mini double. We got the S&P-Y. Remember cocoa, why they bought a bunch of people bought the market. And then we had more stuff come out. We had more numbers come out. We had the pipeline shut down. And it just started getting some major selling pressure. And you know what? Those non-farm payroll numbers were pretty mixed. So I didn't think it took away from the 75 basis point hike that much. Even though, if you look at here, it did drop. It did drop. We're back down to 56. But either way, I mean, you got to be prepared. We're in tactile trading mode. In tactile trading mode, anything can happen. It's why I implore people to watch the intraday price action. And if you can't, you literally have to take the longer term positions. Good afternoon, Davey. I was up for my long after the open. I set harmonics and stop at 62.5, and NASDAQ blew right through. Well, you were using a good stop level. Tesla Kratos, welcome. Tesla closed down through all 3 weekly EMAs. Yes, it did. You're getting the weeklies rolling over again. But even before that, what's more substantial to me, You had the little gap returning to the daily rotation zone. Remember, we marked this off this morning. 279.35 to 282.73. Gap, boom. Remember, I watched the area between the candle bodies and the breakdown zone for a return with the rotation zone, rotation back down. We should see and we've triggered this double top and we've revisited the breakdown zone. Reinforced with today's price action. So nothing has changed on Tesla. And it did close through all weekly EMAs, and we have the cross of the daily rotation zone, and it's back below the 50. We should see the lower prices, probability-wise. That's the point of the stock market. It's hard to, if it was easy, everybody try to do it. With the pipeline having problem, will that be bullish for oil and natural gas? I think you meant not natural energy, natural gas. You have to do the disconnect between, it's not necessarily bullish for oil overall. In Europe, I think they're doing some cheating with the overall Russian oil. But natural gas, it's bullish in Europe. It's not necessarily that bullish for us because it's hard to export natural gas. That's why I'm still in bullish mode longer term unless we have that major topping pattern. So I'm watching for the pullback plays, and we will be trying to export natural gas to Europe this winter. Remember, it has to be liquefied and then put on a ship and shipped overseas, and then it has to be reconstituted. It's easier to ship oil than it is natural gas. And I doubt in this country we're going to put ourselves in a horrible natural gas position this winter. So keep that in mind. We still have to play the patterns. Dan, Tesla to 250. Well, my next targets, here they are. 262 and change, 253, 245. Remember, you have this key gap also. And the key gap fill left behind is 247.50. So 245.10 to 247.50, and you're at 250, Dan. I like reaching for dollars, not picking up the pennies, and that's an important lesson to learn. You don't want to chase the pennies, you want to chase the dollars. We'll see what happens with the pipeline, but I think Europe's screwed this winter. Yeah, the LNG, we had 2 fires in LNG plants, but one was a major export point. But that'll be coming back online probably by the end of the year. I thought it was going to be partially, but the full thing is at about 10 months, Ted. Is there a weekly double bottom on the weekly in Tesla that hit the first 2 targets? This rotation, it could still be traded, but this was pretty much an invalidating the pattern. You could have used it. It was better to just use your core harmonics than that, because this rotation was a little too far down. If you were trying to use those, a lot of people trade those, but yeah, it hit the first and second target. I was keying off of the other harmonics, though. Probably the 62.5% stop on that. What for Tesla, Kratos? And if you're watching the retracement key levels on the retracements for Tesla for the continued downside play, the key level is 247.29. So if we complete the double top pattern and close on a daily basis below 247.29, then that favors 220 to 207. Please keep that in mind also. Thank you for sharing, Ted. All right. We don't need to keep this longer than expected. You know, it's a holiday afternoon. Dollar index still holding up with, look at this. Look at the rotation zone just holding so nicely. By the way, this is not valid anymore. I forgot to update that. I know. I know. What Yellen was talking about, Russian oil price caps do not work. I cannot believe these people who are in charge. If you've studied history at all, price caps do not work. Period. End of story. But we're literally in insane times. And just when I thought it can't get stupider, stupider happens. And and there's no nice way to put it. So, what was that? What was that thing I saw there was a great thing earlier too. Where was that? Hold on. Where? Oh boy. I have to find that. That's absolutely hysterical. Maybe I'll have to look for it later. Oh well. You know, it was a tweet about socialism too. So let's see. Is playing EPV a good idea for the Europe drop? I would have to think about that. Look no further than rent in New York City to see effects of price caps. I mean, I lived in New York City for years. So yeah, the price caps don't work. What's my tar? Yeah, I agree, Dan. Thank you very much. Give Mike a like. Give this channel a like. It's not just Mike a like. It's giving the channel a like. I was just looking for something. Where was that? I wish I bookmarked it. Gosh darn it. Sometimes I lose things. I'll have to find that for Sunday. Hopefully I will. But what else? What's my targets for the NASDAQ and SPX? You mean longer term? I went through this. I even talked about this one on the pod. My next target when we break the June lows is 3556 area. Then I'm at 3500 and my major target's down about 3160 right now on the S&P, and that's on the future side. You can roughly translate that to the cash. My next I'm watching for the NASDAQ. There'll be some stronger support in the NASDAQ at the June lows. And then the next key target on that's 10,371. And my major target on that is 91.73 at this point. So that's where we sit. All right, I'll look for that later because I don't want to waste everybody's time right now. But hopefully I'll find it for Sunday. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. I will get out a sector overview for your prep work this weekend. I will be back Sunday afternoon. So if you can, if you're not spending, it's more important that you spend time with your family and loved ones for Labor Day weekend. But if you can tune in, I welcome anybody who will be here. Thank you, you two Kratos. I hope I'm saying that right. Mike, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Biden put all the natural gas in a boat and sent it to Europe. It's just, we can't. Even if he wanted to, we can't. That's what's interesting about natural gas versus oil. You just can't load it into a boat. You have to liquefy it to transport it. And it takes specific processing stations to liquefy it and then to change it back into gas. So it's not just the fact, what, are you going to fill a balloon and float it over to Europe or drag it? No, you can't do that. You have to liquefy it, ship it, and then change it back into the natural gas form, which is easier said than done, and you just can't build a processing facility overnight. So we can't do that. We can export a certain amount of it, but that's why Europe's so dependent on this pipeline now, because they put all their apples in that one cart, and they're completely dependent. They've made themselves over the last few years completely, not completely, but a huge percentage dependent on Russia versus building out other infrastructure. And Germany could be looking for its own natural gas, which they went full greenhead. And greenhead does not work uh, fully yet. Yes, Labor Day is only in America, but you have to be aware of it because the markets are going to be thinner. So if you're not in the U.S., you still have to be aware. You might not have a holiday, but the markets are going to have a lot slower trading. Thanks, Patrick. See you. So don't get into conspiracy theories that we're just going to ship all our natural gas overseas, because it's not that easy. We'll ship some of it. And so prices will probably stay more elevated than not. However, we can't solve the natural gas problem in Europe. All right. Thank you very much for everyone tuning in. I'll talk to you in a couple days. Bye for now.